I did a mock, but don't hold me accountable. Joe Terosian, and this is RamView. Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the March 8th, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair, having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Granite Ridge Christian Camp, a place where your life can change. All right, it is Friday. We are a couple days, 5 days away from the official start of the 2024 season, the official lifting of the Rams Super Bowl window being opened again. Very short time it was closed, and so this is magnificent. And one of the pieces they're using to prop that window open, they signed Kevin Dotson. Kevin Dotson signs with the Rams, and these are some good stuff about this is Kevin Dotson re-signs with the Rams, signs before the new season opens, signs before entertaining any other offers on the market, and he signs slightly less than his estimated market value. He wanted to be a Ram, and the Rams clearly wanted him. He got 48 rocks over 3 years. Only 32 of those rocks are guaranteed. This is an amazing outcome. This is a marriage that has a lot of promise. And so, yeah, that was a really good deal. The Rams have now secured 3 of their 5 offensive line positions, Avila at left guard, Dotson at right guard, and right tackle Rob Havenstein. Now, left guard could be Tom Mack, right guard could be Joe Schiavelli. That's how it feels when you know who your starting guards are to begin with on that offensive line, and the Rams can, of course, build out from there. Likely they have 4 because they did tender Alaric Jackson, an original draft tender. So he's going to make 3 rocks this year. So that's a really good sign for the Rams. I took heat in the last show because I wanted to keep Joe Noteboom, and someone said I'm out. Well, here's something I've been thinking about because we keep looking at the draft. There are so many offensive linemen. And yeah, if you're good with Alaric Jackson being your left tackle, you could pick up another offensive lineman, a little later on in the first 100. Rams got plenty of opportunities there. But if they were to make that bold move, then I want people to know that I'm not married to Joe Noteboom, that if they make that move and say they score one of these top flight guys, right? Fuega, Fasciano, Fontenot too as well. Their names are all starting with F outside of Joe Alt. If they score one of these guys, the guy from Penn State, Washington, or Oregon State, there we go. If they score one of these guys and that guy becomes the left tackle, I have no problem with Alaric Jackson taking on the Joe Noteboom role for 3 rocks because Jackson can start at tackle, Jackson can start at guard, and that would give the Rams depth. Still interested in Coleman Shelton coming back. We are going to talk about centers on this show. I did a mock draft. I just want to make sure that you all don't hold me accountable when you look at it and you think, oh, man, that's terrible. What I'll do is I was going to post it within the show, but I'm not great with graphics yet, right? We're just doing a slow build here. I'll post a link to my website, and you can see it there. I did a PFF mock draft where no trades, just played it straight up, and I'll go over it with you here, but I'll let you see it there at joeterosian.com. All right, so good news for the Rams, signing Dotson. It was fantastic. Really jazzed about that. That was good news that broke yesterday. Around the NFL and other places, it all keeps steering around the Steelers and Buffalo. So Steeler fan Rob must be happy in Missouri. But they keep saying the Steelers are committed to Kenny Pickett. And Steeler fan Rob, a diehard Steeler fan, says, Russell Wilson coming in can push Pickett. But Does Russell Wilson want to come in to just push Pickett and not have a chance to start? Right? I'm not saying Pickett's better than Wilson. In fact, Wilson's better than Pickett. I did like Wilson Pickett midnight hour, but no joke there. But is Wilson going to want to sit on the bench? It wouldn't be a good look for him if he pushes Kenny Pickett. And let's say Kenny Pickett takes off, right? Fulfills his promise. Is that a good look for Wilson at this point in his career, where two apparently down years in Denver and then a year on the bench in Pittsburgh behind Kenny Pickett? I don't know. Because of the money he's got in his back pocket now, I think Russell Wilson's going to look around. Atlanta. There was a rumor today about him in the Giants. So it would be interesting to see. My note to Steeler fan Rob in Missouri would be, trade one of your wide receivers. They're both super talented, but both have bad attitudes and they don't block, right? So one bad apple, you can pluck out. Two bad apples ruin the whole barrel. So, you only want one psycho receiver. You don't want multiple psycho receivers on your team. So deal one of those guys, Johnson or Pickens. Get one of them out of there. I'd get Pickens out of there. Okay. Wanted to talk about Buffalo. My bad. Since I bag on him a lot, I shouldn't say I bag on him. I just wasn't thrilled with him, was Taylor Rapp. When I mentioned David Edwards getting a second contract with the Bills, Taylor Rapp got a second contract extension too with the Bills. They put Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White out in the street, the corner, Poyer the safety, longtime safety for the Bills. And so they kept Taylor Rapp. So good for Rapp. It was fun seeing everyone post all the stuff about the Buffalo Bills GM and saying he didn't want to make the mistakes the Rams made, but yet they had a bloodbath in Buffalo the last 2 days, cutting everybody. That was kind of sweet. Speaking of Buffalo, they actually re-signed their former quarterback and former Steeler backup, Mitchell Trubisky. So they got that going for him, which I don't know if it's nice. And then, of course, the Steelers put Patrick Peterson in the street. I mean, I'm old enough to remember. I know it sounds kind of funny. Aren't we all old enough to remember when Patrick Peterson was the elite of the elite? Remember how great Patrick Peterson was? And I give him credit for sticking around this long. It is sad, though. You see them come into the NFL. You see them the day they're drafted, right? And then you see them when they're trying to hang on, and it's like, oh, man, it's just a bummer, right? It's just a bummer when these guys age so fast. And so you're always hoping they've got a second career planned. Raiders have released Brian Hoyer. I'm only mentioning this because I don't want to see anything in Ramdom or Ram Talk or Rams Rules or any kind of Ram message board that says, hey, maybe we should give Brian Hoyer a look. He's a proven NFL backup quarterback, We don't want him, okay? Hoyer, I give him credit for his career, was an undrafted free agent in 2009. I think it was Michigan State. He had those several cups of coffee with the Patriots, but he's with the Browns. The Steelers had him briefly, the Cardinals, Texans, played a playoff game for the Texans, Bears, even got a cup of coffee with Frisco. I give him full credit for managing a career in the NFL. He's got a retirement coming, and he's probably got a nice truckload of money put away, but we don't want him playing for the Rams just in case. Justin Simmons and a whole bunch of safeties are in the street now. The Broncos standout safety Justin Simmons was put in the street, and that's a repercussion of some of the Russell Wilson deal. But also it just kind of shows you where the NFL is going right now. Off-ball linebackers and safeties, because so many people are playing the too high. You don't need that exceptional safety anymore. You need a competent safety. And some of these guys, are beyond competent. Justin Simmons is a really good safety. Kyle Hamilton's a really good safety. Minka Fitzpatrick's a really good safety, but they're kind of being schemed into just throwaways and easy to discard. The Rams have proved that. The Fangio system that's almost ubiquitous across the league has shown that. And you don't overpay for your safeties. You just don't. Seattle Seahawks have learned that lesson, and they put both Diggs and Jamal Adams in the street. Just something to think about when there's that aching let's go get a guy like that, right? Maybe Justin Simmons a few years ago, maybe a Kyle Hamilton now, an Ed Reed in his prime. Okay, I'll make that move. but it's a different NFL right now. And off-ball linebackers and safeties, they come and they go, Humps. They come and they go. Okay, I'm Joe Terosian. I was a sports writer for 21 years. I was one of the founding guys at Mid-Valley Sports. Those guys are still in the room, Tim and Dwayne, covering the Chargers. You want to check them out. They're doing cartwheels over Harbaugh's presence in Boltland. But I get to do the Rams because of my sponsors at Kistler Law and, of course, Temple City Auto. We want to thank them for allowing me to talk Ram stuff and you guys for clicking on. I do RamView and I write books. My books can be found on Amazon at Joe Terosian. Just type in my name. And I don't have a paywall. I don't have Patreon. If you want to support the show, buy one of my books. And I got 2 high school football novels that were received well and did very well. And then other stuff there that you're going to see is that my day job is I pastor a small church in Burbank Faith Nazarene, and you can check us out right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, and of course burbankfaithvirtual.org, Burbank Faith Virtual on Facebook, and all across social media. And so I'm blessed, thanks again to our sponsors, that I get to talk sports. All right, not too many questions right now. One coming in from Bill. Bill, do you know what he's making in the first year of his contract? Are you talking about Kevin Dotson? You know what? I didn't look that up. I just broke it down myself. 3 years he's making 16. I don't know what it is. How maybe they worked on that a little, or massaged it a little bit to make it work for this year. I did see the Rams. Salary cap drop from about 44 to about 29. So I imagine we're taking most of that 16 mil hit this year. And of course, you pay him this year, you pay him next year. That's the guaranteed money. So I don't know if there was anything else there, but thank you, Bill, for asking, and we'll go from there. Hey guys, any other questions come up, feel free to pop them in there. And I'm happy to answer them. I know I popped on early. We don't have too many live viewers with us right now. That's okay. That's okay. You guys can check us out along the way. One of the things we're hoping for is to find a set time that we're on. It's just really hard with my schedule right now, and but we're hoping to find a set time. Okay, Dwayne Barker, 32 rocks guaranteed. 32 rocks guaranteed. I think what Bill was asking is, sometimes they massage that. They give them, 17 up front or 10 up front and then break it down later, how they spread that out. But 32 rocks guaranteed, 3 years. Brian B, 3 years, 48 mil. What a great deal, though. I mean, I think the PFF had them, 4 years, close to 70 mil. And that puts you in the 17 to 18 range. And so the Rams got a great deal. Do you guys think it was a great deal? I think it was a great deal. And again, 2 years of that, is only guaranteed. And so if he flames out, then it's not going to be punishing to the Rams at all. All right, let's just move on here before we get to the mock draft. Let's see. Rams say will not tender Michael Hoyt, Jonah Williams, and Christian Roseboom. We should have saw it coming, or I should have felt like I should have saw it coming, but I didn't because Hoyt played so much, right? But you began to think of him as just one of the regular guys. But they have not been tendered, which means they are free to seek employment elsewhere. But given who those players are, they were all developmental players, undrafted free agents that the Rams moved in. 3 of those guys right there, starters this year. And they built them up, and they don't want to tender them. So they'll go away, and if they come back, they'll come back at a cheaper price. Rams don't have to pay him that much money. Hoyt is a tough one because I think he's a great depth piece. He's a guy you want on your team, from special teams to he could put a hand in the dirt. He could play a little edge. You just don't want him in coverage. But every time you get mad that you see Hoyt beat in coverage, I hope you don't channel that on Hoyt, or you didn't channel all that on Hoyt. You should have channeled that on the Rams, right? Channel that on Raheem, or maybe just the lack of other players on the roster because of cap issues or whatever. But the kid couldn't do it, right? We just know the kid, it wasn't his fault. He couldn't follow a tight end down the field or a running back out of the backfield. But I think I found a linebacker from Notre Dame that could in my mock draft, and we'll see. Jonah Williams and Roseboom, they did some nice things this year. But yeah, so time goes on. Again, I think we'll see them again, possibly one or if not all three. But a smart move by the Rams, save a few coins and keeps them in the game. All right, we're looking at rooms. We're looking at the center room right now as it stands. The only center on the Rams roster is Mike McAllister. In an emergency, I guess it could be Steve Avila. And then, of course, we know Coleman Shelton is floating around out there. But I wanted to talk about McAllister a little bit because McAllister got a lot of praise last summer from as an undrafted free agent out of Youngstown State. He got a lot of praise from Sean McVay. And he's going to turn 26 this year. He was, of course, the COVID year pushed everything back, and he was a redshirt guy at Youngstown his freshman year. But he goes about 6'2", 305, 310. He has a background as a volunteer firefighter in his hometown in Pennsylvania. But after OTAs, McVay specifically praised him, and a lot of people circled McAllister's name because if McVay praises you publicly, there was a good chance you're going to stick around. Of course, they waived him in August, and then that same day they put him on the practice squad. He's considered a tough guy. Does that mean he's going to be Rich Saul, Ken Iman, or Dennis Hara? No. Does it mean he could be Coleman Shelton? Maybe, possibly. And he's a little bit of a brawler, a little bit of a tough guy. And we don't know what we have in Mike McAllister yet. We just know we don't want him to be the starter this year. But in retrospect, looking back at Coleman Shelton originally signed with the Rams after a brief cup of coffee, I think, in Frisco and Arizona. He signed with the Rams as a free agent in 2019. And that year he played 22 snaps. He didn't play a snap in 2020, only 216 snaps in the Super Bowl year of 2021, 720 in 2022. And then, of course, last year's a full-time starter, played all season, 1,113 snaps. And, of course, very competent. Is he the best? No, he's not Mike Webster. He's not Jim Langer. He's not any of those Ram greats. But is he competent? Absolutely, he's competent. And so, that took time to develop, and maybe McAllister can be that guy. I think his age might be working against him a little bit because by the time he's ready to roll, he might be 29 or 30. So just something to think about with him. Free agents, it's a shame, though. Sometimes centers don't really get paid that much in the market right now. There are centers on the market. Connor Williams with the Dolphins. Remember, he was the guard with the Cowboys. He's a free agent a couple years ago. Struggled at guard. They moved him to center, and he took off. The Raiders' Andre James, and a name that's being mentioned on several podcasts. And that's the reason I'm bringing it up, because I try to listen to other podcasts. I believe Rams Up. I believe Locked on Rams. A couple other places we're actually talking about the Broncos guy, Lloyd Cushenberry. Great name. But most of them are looking at Cushenberry for 12.5 rocks a year, 4 years at 50, 34.5 guaranteed. That could be a little pricey when you're looking at some of the other guys like Williams, James. They're between 7.5 and 9 rocks a year. Coleman Shelton's market value right now is listed at 3 years for 16 mil, and that's 5 rocks a year, so 5.3. And again, we've seen what Shelton can do. We've seen the continuity matters, and so I'd be great if the Rams brought him back. But again, we're going to see how free agency plays out and how much money they have to spend at this position, or who's available in the draft. Shelton's 28 now, but he'll be 29 when the season starts. Just a quick note, the Bills put veteran center Mitch Morris in their bloodbath on the street. Morris is a longtime starter, came in the league in 2015. He's 32. I saw just a report just before I came on the air that he met with the Steelers today. So maybe Steeler fan Rob is looking to bring in Mitch Morris. Looking at the draft, there are about 5 centers there, 4 or 5 centers I circled. Didn't want to go too deep. But starting back and moving forward, one of the names I circled was Drake Nugent. He's projected to go in the 5th round. He's from Michigan. Big guy, of course. Arkansas's Bo Limmer. He's 6'5", 307, 4th round. And Georgia's Cedric Van Tran, he's 6'4", 310. He's projected 3rd round. And West Virginia, and this guy's a sleeper here, someone to keep an eye on. West Virginia's Zach Frazier, 6'3", 310. He's moved all the way up into the high second round. I mean, somewhere in the 30s he can go. And all those guys are 3-year starters at center for some major programs, all of them, Michigan, Arkansas, Georgia, West Virginia. So they've got experience there. And so that's 3 years. The one guy that, of course, is standing out, unlike anybody else, is Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon. He only played 1 full year at center. He played guard, but he thrived at center, just blew up, and he just climbed the ladder more and more as the season progressed, and then as the offseason progressed. They list him at 6'3", 320. They said at the combine he comes in at more like 330, 335. And at the end of the college football season in January, he was projected in the 50 to 60 range. That means low second round, which would be high second round, I guess, in the 50 to 60 range, in the Creed Humphrey range, the greatest Ram to never play with the Rams. Right now, Jackson Powers Johnson is projected to be a first rounder. And again, just throwing that out there, there's a lot of depth on the offensive line in this draft. This draft, the timing of the Rams having all their draft picks and having 11 because of the comp is huge, because there are some drafts that are good and then some drafts that are great. And this is shaping up to be a great draft. A lot of receivers, a lot of corners, a lot of tackles, right? A lot of offensive linemen, a lot of quarterbacks, right? That all of them are projecting really well. If you're old, they talk about this. And I remember because it was the draft that I watched. I actually wrote it down with my handwriting. I didn't have a computer at that time. Back in '83, the '83 draft, I think it was on ESPN. I wrote everything down. And or I'm positive I saw it in ESPN. Whatever it was, I have a book that has everyone drafted in '83. And the '83 draft was huge. It was monstrous. It was a huge draft. And they just happen to be, sometimes you get one of those years where there's just a lot of talent. And how fortunate for the Rams that it's not one of the years they didn't have a number 1 or just 6 or 7 picks, but it's a year where they have 11 picks to start with. So along the interview trail, I didn't see any new interviews. Maybe some have happened. Braylon Trice, Washington, Jalen Ford, Texas, Roma Dunze, Washington, Oregon, Bo Nix, Notre Dame, Audric Estime are all players the Rams interviewed at the Combine. Rams have picks 19, 52, 83, 100, and then 153, 154, 177, 191, 212, 217, 218. Now, there's a little distinction here. I did the PFF draft, and for some reason, they list the Rams' second-round pick at number 51. Most of the mock drafts list the Rams. Everybody else lists the Rams at 52. So you might see that, and just letting you know what that's all about. So, okay, so here's the Joe T mock draft. Before we go, let me look and see if there's any questions here. USA Expat, biggest news of the week. Yes, it was. I think you're referring to the Kevin Dotson signing. Bill, do you think Notebook is next? Yeah, I think Noteboom is a goner. That's what I think. I do think Noteboom's a goner. I'm kind of, I've shared how I feel. I've lost a listener because of how I feel about Joe Noteboom. So I do like Joe Noteboom. So, all right, here's my mock draft for the Rams, and just remember, I don't want to be held accountable. It's before the free agent period actually begins. We used to play marbles on the school lawn, and I was horrible at marbles. I was a poser at marbles, and I would buy my bag of marbles. I had friends who were expert marble players, but the teachers would get mad if we played for keeps. So they'd say we have to play for funsies. I hated that phrase, but just think of my mock draft today as a funsie. Okay, because I hate to get ripped apart for it. Okay, number 19, I went with who I saw, and I took Jackson Powers Johnson, center, Oregon, at number 19 for the Rams. I figured that sends Coleman Shelton away. Jackson Powers comes in on a rookie contract, and maybe the Rams, could keep Joe Noteboom around for another season, just to finish off that contract and add depth. Everyone's saying from the guys everywhere. They're saying Jackson Powers Johnson's the real deal, and maybe if Jackson Powers Johnson comes in and is everything he says he's going to be, or he seems like he's going to be, we can get off the Creed Humphrey is not a Ram trade. Okay, in the second round, number 51 or 52, wherever your mock draft shows it, I did have the Rams taking edge Braylon Trice out of Washington. The Rams have interviewed him already. It seemed like a perfect fit, and not in the first round, but just a little more depth, maybe to balance out the other side from Byron Young, or possibly a depth piece for a free agent. And that was the great thing about that Ram team. Those years, 18 through 20, 21, they kept running in different guys. You had your Leonard Floyd, you had your Dante Fowler, but they kept getting a lot of stuff off the bench from Samson Ebukam, Ogbo Okoronkwo, and those guys are still getting contracts in the NFL. So those guys were good football players, and you just want to develop that depth at edge. Okay, at pick number 83 in the third round, this is one that hasn't been mentioned. Renardo Green. He's a cover corner from Florida State, 6 foot, 185. He plays the boundary, and he's a great in coverage, right? How about that, right? Renardo Green. Mark that one. I felt very good about that draft pick out of Florida State. And then at number 100, I went off ball because it was in that late third round at about 104 back in 2021. The Rams got Ernest Jones. And this one here is Marist Liufau, a linebacker out of Notre Dame, 6'2", 239. They say he runs with bad intentions. He can run. He's aggressive. He's not talented in coverage, but he's better in coverage than anything the Rams have had in recent years at off-ball linebacker. And I actually got an A grade for drafting him. And so keep your eye on that. Marist Liufau out of Notre Dame. At number 153, again, I didn't do any trades. I took Colorado State tight end Dallin Hooker, 6'5", 235. I saw him play. I thought he looked good, and the Rams could use some depth at tight end. Couple picks here I wasn't thrilled about. Number 154, I felt like the Rams needed a receiver, and I reached a little bit, and I went with the USC guy, Taj Washington. He's good, but he's about, 5'10"? He's a little small, and I don't know if he's a full burner. He's a good receiver. He's not projected as much in the NFL, and I felt kind of funny about that one after I drafted him. Number 177, I took a guard, Trevor Keegan, Michigan, because you could always draft offensive linemen. He is a 3-year starter for the Wolverines, won a national title, right? Sound pretty good. And he's 6'6", 320. 6'6", 320. So, yeah, that guy can be on my practice squad any day of the week. And then because I knew how we all felt, I reached high at number 191 in the 6th round, and I decided to draft Joshua Carty, the kicker out of Stanford. I got a big fat F grade for that, but we know what it's like to be without a kicker. Carty, only in 3 seasons, only missed 2 kicks inside the 50 and only 1 extra point. Not necessarily known for a big leg, but he seems to get the job done. Joshua Carty, number 191 out of Stanford. At 212, I took Jace McClellan. His stock has dropped huge. It was high earlier on. He was a running back for 3 years at Alabama. He's sound. So depth piece, special teams player, I grabbed him. To do the obligatory drafting of a safety as a Ram GM, I took Omar Brown at number 217 out of Nebraska. Omar Brown, he spent a lot of time covering at the star spot, the slot, but he's also plays deep. He's good against the run. 6'1", 200, probably just doesn't run super well, and that's why he dropped. And then at number 218, I did go a little the 49er route. I thought, let's draft a quarterback last, because I have full confidence we're going to bring back Carson Wentz, right? Please, hopefully, yes. So I drafted a guy whose stock has risen that not many people know about. He's only 6 foot 200. He'll probably wear a baseball cap his whole career if he sticks around in the NFL. But I took John Reese Plumlee, quarterback out of Central Florida, with the Rams' last pick at number 218. I will post this draft just as it is on my website, joetarosian.com, when I get off the line with you guys today, so you can look at it and tear me apart and chew me up. Remember, it was for funsies, but I'm going to tell you, if I hit on any of those guys in late April, you're never going to hear the end of it from me. And just like Brooksy or Broski left the other day, you might want to not follow me too, because I'm going to be unforgiving when I get something right. Manuel Correa, how's it going? It's going good, sir. You got me working hard on the draft. Thank you so much for clicking on. Let's see where we're at now. Let's get that mock draft out of there. I wanted to post it for you guys to see, so I apologize. I will get that up. Looking at Rams number 1 pick just across the board at all the different mock drafts. The guy that is most drafted, that most mock drafts have the Rams taking, is Laiatu Tatu out of UCLA. I've seen 4 mock drafts recently where the Rams haven't taken him. The Rams are taking him. And then taken twice are Talisi Fuaga out of Oregon State, Nate Wiggins twice out of Clemson, Jackson Powers Johnson twice, not counting mine, that would be 3 out of Oregon. And every mock draft I look at, before number 19, Quinyon Mitchell is gone, just gone. And so I know people were salivating over him, but yeah, I hope he's there. Looking at the Rams, who the Rams are playing next year, on the list again, I think we're going to New Orleans. You're looking at the Saints. Saints were 9-8 last year. I think that was the benefit of playing in the NFC South. They got 2 picks, 14 and 45 in the first 100. They're looking to take a quarterback and a tackle in this draft. And they were in cap hell. And they've put players in the street. They dumped Michael Thomas finally. They restructured Derek Carr. The NFL gave everybody a whole lot of money this year, and still the Saints are 12 rocks in the hole. 12 rocks in the hole. And so it's going to be tough for them this year. The advantage for now for them is Carolina and Atlanta have not got their acts together. You get the feeling Atlanta's about to, and Carolina might be a few years off. Now, because of that, could the Saints pick off an 8-win season? Yeah. But without a break here or there, and of course, as Dennis Allen as head coach, and maybe if the Falcons rise, I just see the Saints going 6-11 or worse. And the Rams are one of those teams. They're going to play in New Orleans. And if everyone's healthy and all things are even, I don't think the Rams are going to struggle against the Saints this year. Saints at home, besides the Falcons, Bucks, Panthers, get the Browns, Broncos, Raiders, Rams, Eagles, and Texans. And then they come and they have to go on the road to play their division opponents, but also the Cowboys, Packers, Chiefs, Chargers, and Giants. Cowboys, Packers, Chiefs, and Chargers. Chargers are going to be so much better this year. They can get skunked on the road outside the division. And so that's going to be a rough year for the Saints, and hopefully they're beaten down and destroyed by the time the Rams go to New Orleans. Okay, it's Friday, so we're going to look at on this date in Ram history. And
my man.
I played that for Mr. Barker. So we're going to look at March 8th, 9th, and 10th, but we're going to focus here on March 8th right now. On this day in 1993, Rams signed UCLA alum and longtime NFL veteran, USFL veteran Irv Eatman to a 3-year contract. He started 16 games in 1993 at left tackle for the Rams, but was cut the following April. He was probably going to make 2 dimes more, and John Shaw in Georgia decided to put him in the street. On this date in 1994, the Rams signed free agent quarterback Chris Miller. Remember Chris Miller? He played up at Oregon. He was with the Falcons. He had a nice little career going there for a while, but he became the poster child for concussions. And his career really started to wane after that playoff run in '91 with Dion, where they got smoked by the Redskins. But Miller ended up signing with the Rams, played 2 years with them, played the last year here in LA, and 1 year, the first year in St. Louis, 26 games, 23 in all, threw 34 touchdown passes, but he was sacked 59 times. He was sacked 209 times in his career. He got the snot beat out of him. And they confirmed at least 6 concussions, 5 in a 14-month span. He ended up retiring after the 95 season, and the Rams released him. And then he came back for a brief stint with Denver in 97. It got hit again and then called it a career formally. On this day in 2019, the Rams released Mark Barron. I'm not going to talk a long time about Mark Barron today, but Mark Barron was one of my favorite Rams in those late St. Louis years and early years here back in LA. Former #1 draft pick, a safety that was converted to linebacker by the Rams and had a heck of a nice run for the Rams. Also, on the same day they put Mark Barron in the street, the Rams signed Eric Weddle for 1 year, 12 rocks. And, of course, 2019 came and went. 2 years later, he got us helped us in the Super Bowl. Okay, March 9th, which is tomorrow. We're not on the air. Kind of a significant day in Rams history. The Rams and Eagles swapped the rights. They were technically free agents because there was no free agency in the NFL, but they swapped the rights of Ron Jaworski and Charlie Young. Ron Jaworski's his backup quarterback the Rams had no faith in, right? Even though he was a second-round pick. He played well, but, they just didn't have him. They had Pat Hayden, Golden Boy. They brought in Joe Namath. Everything was, they had James Harris much of that time. And so they moved Jaworski out, and they brought in Charlie Young. Now, Jaworski's interesting because Dick Vermeil, who coached Jaworski in 73, was now the head coach in Philly. So he believed in Jaworski, brought him in, and Jaworski took him to a Super Bowl. We got Charlie Young. The Rams got Charlie Young, the former USC tight end, who started off his career fantastic. And I remember being jazzed thinking he got Charlie Young. But he comes to the Rams in 77, spends 3 years with the Rams. And they just didn't throw him the ball. And it was Bob Klein. We know what the Rams offense was. But, man, Charlie Young was spectacular those first few years, catching passes from Roman Gabriel, complemented by Harold Carmichael on some of those Eagle teams in 73, 74, and 75. Just wanted to throw that out there. Also, March 9th, 2017. And this is what I meant by this is the day McVay landed. He was hired in January, but as the new season began, this is what the Rams did. This is 2017 on this day, on March 9th, 2017, which will be tomorrow. That was the Rams version of the Bills bloodbath that happened the other day. The Rams on March 9th, 2017 released Eugene Sims, Lance Kendrick, starting center Tim Burns, Brian Quick, Benny Cunningham, and TJ McDonald became free agents, and they didn't bring any of those guys back. Brian Quick, thank you. Benny Cunningham, I think we were fond of. TJ McDonald, a USC guy, but he was another one of those Rams safeties like Rodney McLeod that, hey, you're a safety, you get a new contract, you got to go. And the Rams also traded the guy who believed in mermaids, defensive end William Hayes. They sent him to the Dolphins with a 7th round pick for a 6th round pick that eventually turned into Sam Rogers, who didn't make the club. Wanted to throw that out there for one. But that was a big day in 2017. They blew out a lot of those 2016 Rams. They were gone. Tomorrow will be Dennis Hara's 71st birthday. So wish Dennis Hara a happy birthday. And looking at March 10th, throwing stuff out there. I think we got it all. Yeah, I think we got it. Nothing too big there on March the 10th. March the 10th, 2009, the Rams released Orlando Pace. To make up for it, 14 years later, they released Leonard Floyd. There we go. And there we have it. All right. I think we got it all in. I think we did it. Wow. In 38 minutes. It felt like just didn't go that long. Let's see here. Okay. Manuel Correa, did you check Miles Cole at Texas Tech? I'm going to be honest with you. I did not check him out because I was focused on this stuff. I promise you I will. When you say, Manuel, I got the same, are you saying you got Jackson Powers Johnson? Okay. Bill asked me, I heard that the Rams were close to signing Favre, but then after Miller workout, they told Favre's agent no. Is this true? Whoa, I don't know that one at all. Man. I know the Packers made the deal for Favre, so he wasn't a free agent. He spent that first year in Atlanta. I think it was in 91. In fact, I got a football card of him in a Falcon jersey. I think he threw 4 passes, but I don't think he was a free agent. No, I never heard anything about Favre coming close to the Rams. Manuel Correa, yeah, the Polish rifle. Hey, I started the day talking about Mike McAllister, Youngstown State. That's where the Polish rifle went. He went to Youngstown State. 2nd round pick of the Rams. Boy, did Klosterman know what he was doing or what, right? That this guy eventually, The Rams have Hadel. They get rid of him because he doesn't take them to a Super Bowl. James Harris, they get rid of him. He never goes to a Super Bowl. Pat Hayden never goes to a Super Bowl. Joe Namath never goes back to a Super Bowl. And the one guy they had that ended up going to the Super Bowl was Ron Jaworski, right? Of course, we know Vince Ferragamo, but just think about that. That's kind of funny. It's an interesting thing, too. Tomorrow is the anniversary of Billy Wade. Billy Wade. They called him Bill Wade. Bill Wade, W-A-D-E. He was quarterback for the Rams after Van Brocklin. He passed away in 2016. And I brought this up a few months ago, is the Rams traded Norm Van Brocklin, and he won a title with the Eagles. They traded Frank Ryan. He won a title with the Browns. They traded Bill Wade, to the Bears, and guess what? He won a title too. Thought that was kind of funny. Manu Korea, I have Pat Hayden's book signed by him. My dad knew Pat. Oh, really? I didn't know Pat Hayden did a book. All right. I'd love to see that. What's the name of the book? I'd love to look it up. I love reading that kind of stuff. So let me know the name of that. All right. I think we've got it all. I think we got it in. Does anyone have any other questions I'm happy to talk about? Looking forward to the start of the official league season. A lot of stuff's going to be happening really fast these next few days. The illegal tampering period, I believe, starts on Monday. That's the 11th, and then the actual, because they can agree to deals on the 11th, and then they officially get signed on the 13th. That's when the new league season starts. Yeah, it'll be interesting. When we talk about Coleman Shelton, that's a guy I got my eye on in terms of, there might not be a huge market for him because there's other centers with better resumes. So I think, he can come back to the Rams, and I think he was wise to turn it down. He should make as much money as he can. This is a guy that's been cut several times. Teams have never hesitated. The Rams waived him last year to redo his contract, and he came back to the Rams, and that's how he got this deal to where he hit his mark and he got an opportunity to exercise free agents. So $5 million would be great for a guy that was an undrafted free agent that has been bouncing around with the Rams for so long. But I don't know if the market's going to be huge for him out there. I just don't think it's going to be huge. I think sometimes, you look at who's coming in the draft. It's a deep draft. So yeah, I think there's a good chance we'll get Coleman Shelton back. Jackson Powers Johnson, drafting him with my mock. I wanted a corner. I did. I wanted a corner, but literally all the corners, every one of those corners, from Terrion Arnold to Quinyon Mitchell to Nate Wiggins to all these guys, not Kool-Aid, but almost all these corners were gone before they came to me in the draft. And so it's interesting to see how teams or players are trending up, and then how some players are trending down because they've been over-evaluated and that maybe they could be picked up on the cheap. I think that Jace McClellan from Alabama that I got is another guy. You have one bad outing, you have one bad thing happen, and the next thing you know, your draft stock drops. So again, just something to think about. Dan O, do you know the Rams' new training camp location? I do not. And I had some connections at UC Irvine that I was hoping to tap into again this year, and been down in the Irvine area, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So I'm not going to use those contacts to go see the Saints practice. That's who's coming to Irvine. So I don't know where the Rams are going. The people have said, well, it'll be the new facility in Woodland Hills, but you don't do training camp at your own facility. You do training camp someplace else, and then you come to your facility. That's pretty much how it's been operating in the NFL. And I don't know. I do not know. My hope would be it's in Arcadia. I'm not too far from Arcadia. There we go. All right. I think we're good. Guys, God bless. Thank you so much for signing on. If you have any other questions, shoot them to me. I think I should probably put my email in there, jtbank1964, jtbank1964@yahoo.com. I'll put that there if you guys want to email me anything or your mock draft, and I'm happy to interact with you. And then you can check out my website, joetarosian.com. I'm going to post this mock draft along with the show right when I'm done with you guys. All right, cool. I think we're good. Thank you so much again for clicking on, and we will talk to you soon. I will see you on Monday, or if anything else breaks. God bless, guys. Take care. See you soon.